The New York Knicks are NBA Cup champions after somehow finding a way to beat the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to tell you why that bodes really well for the rest of their season in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the #1 sports podcast network. On Wednesdays, I'm back. Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. Been a minute here.
John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast on Twitter, at John_Karalis. Jake is back, Jake.
I don't know if I remember how to do this, John, but also I get to come back. Look, there's a title crowned here in the NBA, and I'm going to come back in, and we are going to celebrate the New York Knicks beating the San Antonio Spurs.
We're not going to celebrate.
Oh, I didn't even realize you had the second line. Yeah.
We're not going to celebrate Lauren and Jake. Congratulations to Jake for getting his ring.
Someone got a ring.
Someone got a ring.
I didn't realize that was the second line handkerchief here.
The second line handkerchief from the wedding in New Orleans, man. Come on.
Have you ever been part of a second line celebration for a wedding, like marching through the streets with a band and everything?
That was awesome. First time for everything. I'd never even known what that was until it was at your wedding.
I've done so many years living here, but yeah, that was fun. Thank you. No, I'm happy to be back. Took some time off for the honeymoon. Hopefully I look a little bit tan here on the show, but look, what better way to come back and then have an NBA Cup final? We got Vegas here and everything. This was a whole lot of fun. Today's episode, by the way, of Locked On NBA Game Night, brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, don't forget about the Everydayer Club. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On NBA Game Night with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. You can check the link in the show notes for more. I love the NBA Cup, John.
Yes, you do.
We're going to talk more about this a little bit later, but I'm a huge fan of it.
I'm not as huge a fan, but this was cool.
Look, it's nice to see the Knicks win something.
Is it?
Well, maybe not. Depends. You know who's excited, though, is Gavin Shaw of Locked On Knicks. Let's go for him for the take on the Knicks winning it all.
It took 50 years, but once again, the New York Knicks are NBA Cup champions. Raise the banner. Time for a parade in New York. What an incredible win for the New York Knicks. It felt like the Spurs dominated long stretches of this game, crushing the Knicks on the offensive glass. The Knicks struggled to contain dribble penetration. Victor Wembanyama in limited minutes had a just unholy stretch. In the third quarter, we had 2 lob dunks, 2 threes. Spurs were up by 11. Looked like they were going to run away with this game. And on a night where Jalen Brunson was maybe just a little bit up and down, where Mikal Bridges never really showed up to play, where Karl-Anthony Towns, right as he got going, hurt his calf. The Knicks also didn't have Landry Shamet and Deuce McBride, who were sorely missed given their point of attack defense and ability to hit threes at volume. It didn't matter because of the other role players. Mitchell Robinson had 9 offensive rebounds in his first 13 minutes of this game. The 3 biggest ones came right at the start of the fourth quarter. A putback dunk and then 2 leading to spray outs to guess who? Jordan Clarkson, much maligned free agency signing. He was excellent. 2 threes in a row to pull the Knicks back in. And then Tyler Kolek played the game of his life. A guy I wrote off at times as an NBA player after a subpar summer league. He was just exceptional. Gritty effort defensively, racing back to get a foul when it otherwise would have been a dunk. Taking a charge in the lane, laying his body on the line on both ends of the floor. Tap out that led to an OG Anunoby wing 3. 5 assists, a late drive and spray to OG Anunoby, who was also exceptional for a corner 3. This was just a heck of a gritty effort against the New York Knicks and a prove-it game for the Knicks. Obviously, highest stakes game they played all season. The Spurs, easily the best opponent they played all season, and the Knicks won it. They showed me something tonight.
I think he kind of summed it up there. They showed something in this game, right? It was a gritty win. They just found a way to get it done. They looked done to me. They were down 11 late in the third quarter, and they looked finished. The Spurs had taken control. They were playing downhill, relentlessly attacking with their guard play. And they were doing this with like limited Victor Wembanyama minutes. I thought the Knicks were finished. Then between the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter, I think it was a 10-0 run that almost immediately just cut this and made it even. And next thing you knew, they're up like 6 points early on in the fourth.
Yeah, it's like somebody reminded Jordan Clarkson of how much money he was going to make if they won. And he just came in and was like, oh, okay, let me just start hitting some shots here. Clarkson comes in, hits a few shots. Kolek comes in and just plays like crazy. I think the MVP of this game was OG Anunoby. That when OG plays like this, the Knicks are going to be hard to beat. Honestly, yes, Clarkson hits his shots and Kolek and all that stuff. It is the Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby. When OG comes in, now he scored 28 points, played 40 minutes, shot great. Mitchell Robinson, 10 offensive rebounds altogether.
He has like one of the weirdest stat lines in this one of 15 boards, 4 rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds, and 4 points.
Yeah. When he's in there impacting, and that's what he does, he offensive rebounds. There's nobody better than him. That changes the game. It's almost as if Karl Towns having the calf issue and being out for a little longer helped the Knicks because they needed the second chances. They needed to have Robinson in there to extend possessions and give them more bites at the apple. And you're right. The stat line is weird. Robinson wasn't the one cashing in on the second chances, but it was other guys that were hitting threes and giving them a chance to come back and build a lead when they at no time during the first half of this game did I feel like they could build a lead like this. So Mitchell Robinson is the difference maker. OG Anunoby is the other difference maker. Those two guys are why they won this game.
Yeah, look, when you have, as Gavin said, an up and down game from Jalen Brunson, and it feels like they often just need a points explosion from him, and he had 25 points on 27 shot attempts. It's not particularly good efficiency in this game. You know what's going to help you? Just getting second chances. Yeah. Just getting second chance points, second chance opportunities. That can make a bad offense or offense that's not working in a game work really well here. The Knicks had 32 second chance points in this one. The Spurs, by the way, 28. There were 60 second chance points in this game, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. That's going to help you. If you're missing shots and you just get the board, that's important to being able to score enough points to win very many basketball games. When you have that many offensive boards, it feels like you shouldn't necessarily have 124 points because you're missing things. But then you look at the volume of it purely and you're like, oh yeah, you're going to get a ton of other opportunities here.
105 shot attempts is a big number. Like,
yes,
teams don't take that many shots, but that the offense, they had 25 of those shot attempts were second chance attempts. And, they cashed in, they get 32 points off of that, 56 points in the paint. That's like getting in there, getting some of those were putbacks, getting in there, attacking, getting to the rim, and then being able to turn that into spraying out, like Gavin said, getting out to the 3-point shooting. Neither team shot exceptionally well. The Knicks were 15 of 40 from three. That's right about average, 37.5%. But it was timely. It was the timeliness of the threes because the Knicks got hot in that third, fourth quarter, and the Spurs just went ice cold.
They went ice cold.
And there it is, right? You look at the box score and you say 14 for 39, 15 for 40. Basically even. The Knicks took and made one more shot, but the Spurs hit almost all of those early in the game. The Knicks hit almost all of theirs late in the game. And that momentum was just a killer. And then you see the Spurs. I know we're going to get to the Spurs next, but I think the Spurs got a little caught up in trying to match what the Knicks were doing. The Knicks having that experience, having that playoff experience, having gone to the conference finals. This, whether we're going to make fun of the cup or not, this is a high. I'm the first part of that sentence. You're the second part of that sentence. But you're the only game. You got the commissioner there. The feel, the way the NBA builds up this event, it feels like a major game because the cadence of the game is different. NBA PR is all over the place. They're handling things, not the team PR. There's like all of these little differences that are very reminiscent of late stage playoff runs. The Knicks have been through that. The Spurs have not. And I think the Knicks just responded. They understand there's so much game left that they found a way to kind of, okay, this approach isn't working. Mitchell Robinson's getting in there, getting the offense. Okay, now we're just going to play off of this. We're going to find our guys. That experience, I think, was helpful in how they closed this game out. They outscored the Spurs 35-19 in the fourth quarter.
I think it's when you're saying it's kind of like they know what to do. Part of this is who this team is. They're they're top 5 in terms of offensive rebounds, this season. So it's like they're kind of they know what wins them games. They're the 2 seed. Like, stick to your identity and don't get rattled in the moment. And that experience really shone through, I think, and then getting those guys just stepping up, gutting out a gritty victory. You're going to need performances like that. You're going to have games like this, right? In the playoffs where you're down 11, you somehow got to find a way. Teams that can do that really show something. I think we saw it from the New York Knicks in this one. So coming up next, let's look at the San Antonio Spurs. Is this valuable experience, a stepping stone for them? What kind of on with Victor Wembanyama at times? It's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Skims. When Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense because people have been talking about Skims for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. Same fits, same waistbands that roll, a whole lot of settling, just nothing looks good. Skims Men's changes that. One upgrade, and it's why everyone's been talking. I'm literally wearing a pair right now. I've been on like 48 hours of flights over the past couple of weeks, and I was wearing Skims Men's on the flight, feeling comfortable the whole time. I love the stretch 5-inch boxer brief. The fit, the fabric, it just feels soft, supportive, comfortable to wear all day long. They don't lose their shape. They don't ride up, which is always great. They just fit and look good how they should. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down menu so they know we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is open. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered over at skims.com. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen. Today and every day, we are here 7 days a week covering every single game across the association this season with the deep dives that only you can get on Locked On. Make us your first listen today. For your second listen, it's going to be Locked On Knicks. I'm assuming they're going to be celebrating over at Locked On Knicks. They need something. It's been a minute since they've won any sort of hardware here. You heard Gavin say it's been like 50 years. So congrats. I like the NBA Cup. Happy for the Knicks here. But the San Antonio Spurs, I really thought they were going to win it at one point in this one.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Jeff Garcia for his take.
This is Jeff Garcia with Locked On Spurs. San Antonio, well, they just could not pull it out at the end, losing to the New York Knicks in the NBA Cup Finals, 124-113. All right, so what went wrong? Basically, they went cold in the second half. For the entire second half, the Spurs shot 35%. Yeah, in a Cup Final, you go 35% in the second half. The other thing, the reason why the Spurs lost, they didn't have that will to want to win. You saw in the second half, New York diving for balls, out rebounding San Antonio for the game, 67-56. Yeah, you don't shoot the ball. You don't get those opportunities, those rebounding opportunities. You turn the ball over in key moments. Castle and an inbounds play after they won the challenge of a disputed out of bounds play, right to the Knicks for an easy bucket. All in all, the Spurs got nobody else but blame themselves. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Just how bad was it for the Spurs in that second half? Yeah, Devin Vassell, he goes 0-for-5 in the second half. You have Harrison Barnes, 1-for-4. Yeah, the list goes on and on here. Victor Wembanyama, 5-for-11. By the way, he was rushing some shots in that second half as well. The Spurs actually only managed to score 19 points in the fourth period, getting outscored 35-19. You put it all together, what do you got? A Cup Finals loss. You don't rebound. You don't crash the offensive rebounding boards. The Knicks had 13 offensive rebounds in that second half to the Spurs 9. Look, it was a great run for the Spurs. And there's no denying that. You know, this is a young team that's well ahead of their schedule right now. For them to beat the likes of Denver, the Lakers, and the Thunder to get to the Cup Finals, that's a thumbs up in my book. But overall, there's just lessons learned from the Spurs. And I think it's going to be valuable for them. This team is going to be in the playoffs, and that they got a little taste of what it is to play a complete 4 periods in a, at least, somewhat of a kind of a pressure game, the NBA Cup. So I think they're going to take this experience, let it soak in a bit. And if they ever get in a situation where the stakes are high, as they were in the NBA Cup Finals, I think it's going to pay off for them. But hey, these are just building blocks, little stepping stones for the Spurs as they claw their way out of the rebuild, I should say, and get back to the NBA mountaintop. But overall, look, it was a great run for the Spurs, but ultimately it came to an end in Las Vegas, losing to the Knicks. The Spurs will resume play this coming Thursday against the Wizards back home in San Antonio. This is Jeff Garcia with Locked On Spurs. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast.
Stepping stone for the Spurs, basically, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like that. I mean, that's how you have to take it if you're the Spurs, because like I was saying before, that you haven't had this kind of experience. This is a different feel to the whole experience, the whole thing being in Vegas. So it's good to have that. It's good to fail. I'd rather have them fail here than in the first round of the playoffs. You get a little sense of that. The fourth quarter numbers were not good. I mean, Victor Wembanyama didn't score a point in that fourth quarter. So, for a guy that's building this godlike legacy and had that amazing stretch in the third quarter, he I think was one of the guys who got caught up in the moment. He took some really bad shots, a three that was rushed, a mid-range shot that was rushed. They kind of got away from some of the things that worked, and then they paid for it. So yeah, the building block for sure. Like, you go back and you kind of process this and you say, okay, now the good thing is this lesson came on December 16th. So you get to kind of get right back at it, kind of learn from it, but move on from it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think when you look at this, they were clearly a hungry team that wanted to win. There's some reasons why they lost this too, beyond just the New York Knicks kind of having that experience, them being young and, inexperienced here. Victor Wembanyama played 25 minutes. If you play him 30 plus, right, how does that potentially change this game? Yeah. Even if he was rushing some things, but that's stretching the third, the 2 putback dunks, the 2 threes. You're just like, oh, this guy is special. And he clearly wanted to win this game, but bringing him off the bench too, right? Like their starters looked a little bit out of sorts. And I wonder how that kind of impacted some of their overall rotations, even though this is what they did the previous game. It's those kind of things, right? Like, they are just a much different team, it feels like, than the New York Knicks, or where they're both at.
Right. Well, you've got, rookies in there kind of really trying to make, playing a big role. You've got,
or like a second-year guy in Castle, right? Like, he's still a second-year player.
Still a second-year guy, right? Yeah. You've got Wembanyama, who is, in and out of the lineup, and they're still trying to build first of all, trying to get him back up to his normal minutes load. Second of all, still trying to build some chemistry there. De'Aaron Fox was out for a while at the beginning of the season, and he's like, so there's a lot here that there's, they're building something. I don't see this as like, last year when the Thunder lost, we were sitting there saying, they playoff struggles, they were like, are they ready for this moment? Are they ready for big moments? There were like little questions. You don't have that question with the Spurs. This is very much okay, welcome to the spotlight. Like, welcome to, like, they weren't supposed to be this good. They weren't supposed to be here. And now everybody's looking at them and gassing them up, and you've had time to kind of process all of the praise, which can be damaging too, because you don't need to get big heads. You go out there and now you've failed in front of everybody on Amazon Prime, in front of the commissioner, and you failed in the fourth quarter. Like, all right, take that sting, go home, live in that for a little while, process it, and then say, okay, how do we not do that again? This is a dry run. This is almost like falling on your face in a rehearsal. So if the NBA Cup is good for anything, it's a hell of a rehearsal for a team like the Spurs.
I think you also saw a lot of really good, particularly from the guard play from them, right? Like De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle looked incredible in the backcourt together for stretches of time, where at one point they had like 3 turnovers combined between both of them, and they were both playing 20 plus minutes in this one. 12 assists for Castle, 9 for Fox. When they start moving the ball like that, this is a very Spurs-like team from what we're used to seeing from them. Then you add in someone like Dylan Harper, who looks fearless out there on the court as a rookie, playing downhill, trying to put pressure on the rim. Like, you see just a lot to like from the San Antonio Spurs, even in a loss here, right? I know we're saying like, take this and you'll be fine. Like, they very clearly will be, because while they lost and probably shouldn't have blown an 11-point lead, there's so much to take away that you feel so good about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I'll throw in Luke Cornett into that discussion too, because
he's like the perfect like backup / starting big man for what this team does.
You don't got to tell me, man. I've seen it in Boston. Like, the loss of Luke Cornett is like felt in Boston this year. He's exactly what they need. Every time I looked up, he was getting a putback. He had 5 offensive rebounds, and they were all he's just there cleaning up messes. And it's
from the good guard play. When those guys attack downhill, you've got to have a help defender rotate over to take away the rim. And hey, Luke Cornett is right there in the dunker spot or underneath the basket or cutting baseline. And
we didn't get to see them play Cornett and Wembanyama together the way they normally would like to for some stretches. And I think in that stretch where Mitchell Robinson was just dominating the offensive boards, they had Cornett, but they didn't have Wemby. And I just wonder if Wemby was in a normal minutes kind of load.
Yeah.
If those two guys, that would have been a great time to play them both together, because who would have defended Wembanyama? And it would have changed a lot, I think, about how that fourth quarter went. So on the one hand, yeah, we're talking about the lessons. On the other hand, to your point from before, this also wasn't the Spurs, like the fully realized Spurs that kind of got them all the notoriety at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see. We'll see how they kind of respond to this. These games start back up basically immediately. So I'm excited to see how the Spurs respond to this. Make Locked On Spurs your second listen today. So coming up next, we're playing Real or Fake. I love the NBA Cup. I'm convinced, John, that the NBA Cup's awesome. That's coming up here next to today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is back in North America for the first time since 1994. 48 teams for the first time ever. This is going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why Game Time is the clutch app you need, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open up, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of improbable. It's real simple. You pull up the app. The layout's going to make it so simple to scroll through matchups, compare seat views. You just pick a game, tap a section, and you have your tickets loaded in minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. And if you're going to a venue you've never been before, the seat view feature is a game changer. You literally will see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off with Game Time. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. You look for every opening. You beat your personal records. You beat them again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and EFTs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. And you can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the #1 sports podcast network. Make Locked On Spurs your second listen today. How are they going to respond to the NBA Cup defeat? It's time, John. We got to talk about this. I say the NBA Cup absolutely rocks. And we're going to play a game. I haven't done this in a minute. I want to hear the music. Let's play Real or Fake.
Is this real or fake? Just ask John and Jake.
All right. Oh, I wanted to hear it again. Real or fake? The NBA Cup rocks. Not as good, not as fun. The NBA Cup is awesome, is fantastic. Put that kind of superlative on the statement that we're debating if it's real or fake. It's real. That's the answer.
No, it's fake.
No.
This was nice. This was look, until you get to the knockout rounds, the NBA Cup is, I think, completely meaningless. I don't think that it's widely like revered. I don't think it's anything like that. I don't think people go like, oh God, NBA Cup game. And you know why? I don't see any social media anywhere. No retweets, no nothing that says, hey, awesome Cup game night. I don't see any merch. I don't see any podcasts popping up specifically about this. I don't see any outside media, outside influencer, outside anything about the NBA Cup that makes me think like, wow, people are really responding to this. Diehards, there are people in our little sphere that have differing opinions, and we definitely do. And I do think the knockout rounds, when there is the pageantry type of thing that, you know, the national media, the crew on the floor, the big introductions and all of that, so the commissioners there, it feels big, and that's nice, but it doesn't mean much. The Knicks just, we're celebrating. They get a game in 2 days. Like,
they're gonna hang a banner.
They get to hang a banner. They get to hang like a cocktail napkin. There's like, oh yeah, by the way, we won this little cup thing. Because if they hang a banner, they will become the absolute laughingstock of the NBA. That's how I know this.
The Lakers hung a banner.
They hung a banner. First of all, the league makes you. So this is my like enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. I know this guy with the Lakers. They did not hang a banner like a championship banner.
No, it's different looking than the other
big yellow thing that says NBA Emirates Cup or NBA Cup. And it's like, okay, champions in this year, champions. Which, if the NBA is going to make you hang something, you got to fine. I get it. But if you hang an actual banner with your other championship banners that says, hey, NBA Cup champions, everybody that walks into that arena is going to take a picture of it, is going to meme it, is going to be on social media as a joke. So that's why I don't think this rocks.
So I want to address one of your points. The main point was you were saying no influencers, no fans particularly care. I don't think that matters here, right? Adam Silver, talking to media before this game, was saying the number one problem is like player availability and guys not playing. And the NBA Cup's designed to just get guys to play more, right? On the random cup nights during the week, yeah, there might not be a lot of fanfare about it, but guys are playing. And I think that's an important thing, so that when those fans go to a game, they're still going to get a quality experience because guys aren't load managing. Anecdotally, I think it'd be interesting to see someone do a study and see if guys are actually sitting out or not more, but it doesn't feel like they are for NBA Cup games. And I think that's important. So that just means everyone who's going is going to see the stars play, which is the ultimate goal here. And then the players do seem to care. They might not like some of the courts like the Lakers players don't, but I think overall, like you saw Victor Wembanyama want to win this. You saw a lot of these guys want to win this, and that financial incentive of $500,000 to every player certainly seems to get these guys sufficiently motivated to go out and play hard. Look, this is an extra game. It doesn't count towards the standings. You could easily just have guys be like, I'm not doing this, right? I don't want to deal with this, but they play and they try and win. And I think that's ultimately the end goal here is get guys on the court playing, not sitting out, and it's accomplishing that. And then you end up with these like really fun competitive games that I think are pretty great.
Sure. Like it's not like all negative to me, but also the first couple months of this schedule, incredibly condensed. Guys playing 5 games in 8 nights or something like that. The back-to-backs, they've added back-to-backs to the schedule. Yeah. Not worth it to me. Like, yeah, are they playing in the cup games? Sure. That just means they're sitting out different games. So I don't know that Like, yeah, you can say, hey, I know for a fact they're going to be playing on these games, but also I know for a fact the day before that cup game, these stars are going to sit out if there's any sort of fatigue, and you're making it that there is fatigue. And again, anecdotally, a lot of soft tissue issues, and there's a lot of condensed games. Are we putting guys at risk of these soft tissue issues? Look, they come out of the summer.
Good. Towns with a calf injury in this game, like kind of picked it up. Like that's scary.
You come out of the summer, you go to a preseason that's the most meaningless preseason now ever because guys don't play in the preseason. And then you jump into a regular season schedule that's suddenly condensed, and you're playing 2 games in 3 nights, 3 and 4, all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden, then you have this weird, now you have, we went from playing 25 games in, a short amount of time to, we're off. We play 1 game in a week. The schedule is it's so weird. I'm open to the cup. I'm open to it. But it's what they're doing to the schedule makes me dislike the actual cup because it's not worth it. Don't do it on December 16th. Push it down. Do it at the end of December. Push it into January. Do something to lessen the burden if you want to do this thing.
Okay, that's a very valid point, I think, right? Yeah, they're likely just sitting out other games but playing in these games, so it's kind of netting out the same. But I don't care. We gave out a championship. It's a lot of fun. If the Pelicans ever win it, I would be going nuts. Don't get me wrong. I would be thrilled to have any sort of banner here in New Orleans. I'd just start with that. So, for some of these teams, it matters, John. Don't take this away from me. We're ending the show there. I'm not going to let you respond. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. On Wednesdays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And another thing, I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast. Find me on Twitter at John_Karalis.
Oh, it's good to be back. Enjoy the games the rest of the week. We get back to it after kind of a quiet night here for the Cup night. It's good to be back, John. This was fun. Let's do it again next week. See y'all next time.